Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to Coffee Doodles in quarantine. So today's episode is going to be kind of interesting. Upon request of my old high school teacher, Miss Ronenberger, she wanted to talk to her class about coming up with ideas and concepts without having to rely on software or computers or Photoshop or whatever, and starting out traditionally. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. I'm going to talk a little bit about using inspiration, where to find inspiration, and then getting into actually figuring out an idea, planning ideas, and as David Lynch likes to say, catching an idea. So yeah, we're going to get into that. I'm pretty excited. I've got some stuff here to show you, and then we're going to get into some sketching, and I'm going to be talking about getting ideas. It's a great concept, and I'm really excited to get into it. So if the class is watching this, let me know what you think in the comments below, and maybe I'll do more of these. All right. Thank you so much. Here we go. And we're back. All right. I've got my cup of joe here, and we're ready to get started. So today's topic is talking about ideas. Where do good ideas come from? How do we find them? How do we get them? How do we put them down? And how do we get started? I think that the first good step, depending on how you like to do it, is finding inspiration. Spectrum is a wonderful resource. I've got two of these here. They're a art annual, and it doesn't have to be Spectrum, of course. There are plenty of design annuals. There's illustration annuals. There's art annuals. All over the place. There's also Pinterest, Tumblr, different places like that. The key is to finding the correct resource for your project, right? So if you're planning a design project, you probably don't want to be looking at Spectrum. But for my purposes as an illustrator, Spectrum is wonderful. And I actually have had the opportunity to meet quite a few people who have been presented in Spectrum over the years. What's interesting is it was started by a few people who worked at Hallmark, and they just were so passionate about fantasy art that they just got started doing it and haven't stopped since. So what I'll do if I'm starting a project, it's always good to sit down, spend a few minutes going through an annual or a board and fill yourself up with different ideas, images, see what you respond to, see what you like. Pascal Blanche is really cool. And write it down, save the images, scan them in, whatever. Bookmark the pages, and remember what it is that you liked. I always think that it's important to identify in people's work the golden nugget that you're interested in. If you respond to something, there's something in the work that you have inside of you that you are excited about, and so you should identify what that golden nugget is and write that down. Make a list of things that you respond to and understand why you respond to it, and take it for yourself. Make it your own, and figure out how you can use that in your own work, because if it's all about stealing like an artist. You just collect these little golden nuggets along the way, and you figure out what it is, what your taste is, what your interests are, and what you want to use them for. So when you've done that, when you've collected inspiration, you've bookmarked in all these books, all the things that you like. You put them out in front of you, and you use them while you're doing the next process, which is thumbnailing, concepting, figuring out what it is you want to make for the project. So that's why I've got my sketchbook out. Whenever I start a project, I usually get a new sketchbook. Nice big size, good paper, thick paper, good quality paper, so you can beat it up and it won't crinkle on you or fail over time. I think that looking back through these are always really interesting, and you can find some cool stuff in old sketchbooks. This is an example. Here's a drawing pad that I had found back a little while ago, and I just found this kind of interesting face thing, like it's a mask coming off and there's sort of this internal thing, and I thought that was really interesting. I hadn't thought about that concept in a long time. Here's some more. And looking back through your own work, through old sketchbooks, can remind you of old concepts that you were playing with that never got to see the light of day. I did this kind of interesting, like, cut speech bubble thing that I thought was kind of cool. So, yeah. The next step, of course, is getting started. The journey of 1,000 steps starts with one step. So if you're going to come up with an idea, if you're going to search for that idea, there's no right way to start. I think that just sitting down with a piece of paper, there's something about writing physically that's really important that as time passes we're going to lose a little bit because of digital processes, but it's really important to, I think, do it by hand outside of the computer. That's the key, outside of the computer. It just the tactility of it, you know, interacting with this physical object, the pen, it's going to allow you to think in a different way than with a computer. And I want to emphasize right now that computers don't make the job easier. It's just another tool. I want to express that acutely through this whole thing. An artist is just, a craftsman. And craftsmen have tools, and tools can only go so far. They don't think for you. They only create the object. So keep that in mind. Photoshop, the Adobe Suite, 3D softwares like Maya, Blender, they aren't the artist, they are the tool. And they will not... any stage of the way, they will not do the work for you. They don't make the work easier, and I want to make that explicit, especially to young artists who may be watching this. So, here we go. So, it keeps doing that. I don't like that. Lists. Making lists. So as an illustrator, as a designer, it's important to always start in the most abstract sense, which would be writing. Writing is really important. So just start writing down words. So face off, masks, hidden, face. Making lists is great. It's like free association. The more words that you have in a list, the more intricate an idea can become as you start to combine words and build things out of that. So face, hidden, masks. And there's no structure to this. There's no set process. It can be as intricate or limiting or limited as you want. Head, machine, brain, mechanical. I'm just riffing. I'm just coming up with words. Nose, eyes, sight, think, emotion or emote. Then I'm going to go back up. Remove, wooden, conceal. I'm just thinking of words based on the words that I have, and the more words you have, the more you can build on. So, secret, whisper, quiet, talk, converse. And you're probably thinking, I want to make art, I don't want to write. This is an English class, but I think that communication is at the core of all visual work. You're trying to communicate something. Language is at the core of all creative work. I think language is incredibly important in illustration. There's this concept called semiotics. If you're familiar with Keith Haring, the graffiti artist, he was really passionate about semiotics and the construction and understanding and interpretation of signs. An image is just another sign, and so each individual element inside of an image has meaning and conveys meaning, like a sentence. A sentence, each word has meaning, its own individual meaning, and then combined, they all together convey a different meaning. So, starting with words in lists, in written, in writing, allows you to convey the abstract sentences. I don't even know if this makes sense, but that's why lists are a great way. Communicate. Talking heads. I like machine brain. Mechanical talk. Removing masks. So you start combining these different words. So let's do this. Combinations of words. So here we go. Mask. Removal. Hidden face. Machine brain. Emote whisper. Wooden nose. And now we have images, right? Like we're taking these free associated words, we're putting them into basic combinations, and those combinations become images. And then from there, we construct thumbnails based on the words that we have. And then we have ideas. This is where it comes from. And that's exciting. Quiet eyes. I like that. Secret head. from here, we can start building like sentences. So like what mask removal. Revealing a secret head with mask removal. The hidden face conceals a machine brain. Quiet eyes above a wooden nose. It doesn't need to make sense, but you see how we went from these simple, basic units all the way up to full sentences. And you can see actual images in these sentences. So if I wrote on a piece of paper, revealing a secret head with mask removal, you could draw a picture from that. And that's our goal. So let's start drawing some stuff. Starting small is important. We're thinking about the overall composition here. So let's do the hidden face reveals a machine brain. And I'm going to write that at the top. So it's right there, right? I'm thinking about that while I'm starting to draw. So I'm just going to start doing thumbnails now. And this is all traditional. I'm drawing here. I'm physically drawing. And it's not going to make sense here, per se, if you can't really necessarily see each thumbnail up close. But as I go forward, it's going to make more sense. Because I'm going to slowly get bigger as I go. But we're just thinking about the abstract design here. And the more thumbnails you do, the more it will actually make sense. Sometimes we get lucky when you're catching an idea, right? Sometimes we'll find it immediately. But I would encourage you, as young artists and young designers and young people, to wait. Keep digging. Keep going. Don't be lazy in the idea process. Keep pushing a little farther and seeing what may remain hidden. You never know how close you are to a brilliant idea unless you just keep digging a little farther. Enjoy this, like this can be a really pleasurable process to just sort of experiment. Doodling. We're just doodling, Playing with big shapes. No wrong answers. And only spend like 10-20 seconds on each one. Think about just big shapes. Try to get more specific with each one. And it doesn't matter what you really use. I like to work in ink. This is just a Precision V5. They're just sturdy pens, But the pen doesn't really make the image. It just changes the mark. Just fill the whole page. Keep going until you feel like you have something. This is where the idea is generated. This step is really important. I like this idea of like partially concealing a face by an obstructing thing up here, whatever that may be. Steadily getting bigger. You can see how we started really small in the first couple, just total abstraction, and we're moving to more specific. Thumbnails. Think about the direction that things are going. And then change it up, you know? There's no wrong answers. Remember that. Just, there's no cliche. There is cliche, but there's really no, you know, you got to explore the cliche to actually arrive at an original idea. There are no truly original ideas. You're still going to be influenced in some way, but you can sort of sift through most of the bad ideas to arrive at a good one. And these marks probably don't mean a lot to you guys, but I can see it in my head. This is just a shorthand for myself. So, yeah. Experiment with aspect ratios, wide, long, square, and see what works. Kind of like where this one's going. Set these aside. Use this as reference. Whenever you make something in a piece of work, always keep it on hand, nearby, to keep it feeding you. You know, look at it, watch it. You know, things will change as you go, and it will make more sense as time passes. Like you might see something like, oh, that's kind of interesting. What is that? It's kind of cool. These shapes. Guy looking out a window here. What are these? What are these marks? And as you process, as you look at them, and time passes, you're like, all right, okay, I can kind of build a context, build a story, and figure out what's happening in this image. You know, what is the hidden face conceals a machine brain? What does that mean? You know, and then slowly, surely, an image will generate. You just have to keep working at it. So we have, so far, what do we got here? What are we looking at? We got a character, a mask, or a concealing object, mechanism, of intelligence. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to break it down. You know, what are these elements that we're playing with? Let's reduce them to their smallest objects, rearrange them, get a clearer idea of what we're working with. So what are the themes? Concealing and intelligence. So that can be literal, that can be a metaphor, and I'm just doing this to, you know, get you guys thinking of all the ways you can figure out an idea. I want to demystify this as much as possible. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to read. Alright, we are back. I had to drink some coffee. Alright, so what I've done here is I've got my sketchbook back out. I've got my thumbnails over here. And we're going to start doing some rough drawings. I'm going to do this in a color erase. A little more nuanced. And we're going to start getting this image a little tighter. Just want to remind you guys, I'm still only doing traditional. This isn't digital. You can do this in digital, but I want to express that this is a traditional process. We are doing this with pencil, paper, ink, and our own hands. Not that you can't do it in digital. We're just showing that you can do it without software. Alright, so here we go. The ones that I liked in this, if we look at here, I like these shapes coming down, concealing a face. I love masks. I draw a lot of masks. These sort of abstract things. I like this sort of curve right here. And these are the things I'm going to play with. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to use the edge of this, sort of on the side here. Right? And let's get started. So I'm just going to keep it loose. I always stay loose at the first. Scribbling a little bit. Let's design this character. I think I'm going to do this sort of face removed thing. Can you see that? So we have a little like android. Oof. They call it color erase, but really it's smear erase. Little android guy. I'm thinking maybe like a fake smiley face. A little paint dripping down maybe. Big mechanical brain. And then these abstract shapes coming down. Right? Thinking a little bit about value. Arbitrary marks can become something else as you go forward. There we've got our first drawing. At least an idea. So that's one interpretation. What else do we got? I still want to, let's focus more on this one with this shape. We were looking to a little bit more at the face on that one. So let's really hone in this shape. And then we'll have the character. Maybe like something coming out. From the face. So in this one, we're definitely leaning more into the concealed face. So this would just be a flat shape here. And then we're just giving this like little hint of what's behind the face and how maybe something is mechanical, digital, something like that. And then Let's interpret the background. I do like this one so far. On this one, let's make it more profile view. It's kind of interesting. So we've got this more profile. Maybe the digital brain's there. And then it being concealed by this object. And for the final one, let's do so it's being concealed more like that one. Cool. So we've only been working for like 45 minutes, 35 minutes or so, and we've already got a pretty strong image in the works. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to do a little ink over these to more refine and see where I'm feeling these. Here we're figuring out details, getting more specific. As you can see, this whole process is about taking something from the least specific mode to the most specific mode. And each step gets us a little closer to that specificity. I don't really know how to say it, but you get what I'm saying. And if you skimp on the steps, if you take the easy route and just use the first idea, or you don't really explore every possible idea, it's going to be painfully obvious because it's going to lack that depth, that you know, robust concept. It'll be vapid. And everyone will know that it's vapid. So, really explore. Go through the process and figure out a good idea. And this is definitely an abbreviated version of this. This process. This process can take weeks. days. Hundreds of thumbnails. Because what will happen is, so you take this, right, these 4 drawings to an art director or Miss Ronenberger, and you say, hey, look at my ideas. These are all my ideas. And she'd be like, all right, look, let's see. Not interesting, not specific enough, not blah, 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 not what we're looking for. And then you'd have to go back and restart the process. So we've just done, 15 little drawings here, and then you'd have to go back and you'd have to do 15 more to land at a actually functional idea. Because working creatives, we need to get feedback, and we need to show our work to other people to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So I do like this idea. Let's see what we can do with this one. And sometimes you may not like a sketch, but it may turn out to be somebody else's favorite. They might be like, you know what, that one is working the best, despite how you feel about it. So, yeah. See, I was kind of like, all right, let's add a little hand in there, and that works. So yeah, all right, we've got some ideas here, and let's see if we can take one of them to a more developed finish. All right, so now we're going to move on. For the sake of this demonstration, there are many more stages to this process, but we're going to do just a quick final drawing. Sorry about that sound. It's kind of cold in my room, so I have a little space heater. And it's never a bad idea to use multiple elements from different sketches. To work from. right? Cool. And then I'm just gonna do a quick. It's gonna be a quick little ink. A little ink thing here. so you can kind of see how we can take just like written lists, take it to sketches, and then move on to an actual image. I'm going to go ahead and just stop this video right here. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Miss Ron's class, I hope that you learned a little something about ideas today. I had a lot of fun drawing. I love going through this process. This is what really excites me. So if you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought. If you got any critiques, any suggestions, just let me know. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy. Take vitamin C. Drink some green tea. Wash your hands and don't touch your face. And if you go outside, wear a mask. All right.